Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Pete Pedersen,
Here.
council members Norris Johnson,
Here.
Dave Dillon,
Here.
Corey Pedersen,
Here.
Lindsey Leslie.
Here.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So move.
I'll second.
Did you add those two things on?
Yep, there'll be two additions under resolutions. It'll be resolution 2206, which you have, there's a handout in front of you. And then there's another add, under planning and zoning, we will add a minor lot split for Carbon South.
And is the one that I handed out to you also?
That's 2206.
Okay, because there was another one that you added this afternoon that we got. Oh, that's the lot split.
Yes,
Okay, and that's what resolution?
that is in the resolution.
Okay, so it's just added there. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So move.
I'll second.
Any discussion, any other council members want to make any amendments to it? Lindsay, how do you vote?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Norris?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the bills, minutes, I'm sorry, for 119 and 29. I'll entertain a motion.
So move. I'll second.
Do any council members have any amendments that they wish to make to either one of them? Hearing none. Corey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the bills. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
I'll second.
Corey, was that you?
Yep. Yep.
Any discussion on any of the bills or any questions? Hearing none. Dave, how do you vote?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Public hearing, there's no public hearings. An open forum. Is there anybody here that is not on the agenda that wishes to speak to the council? Hearing none. Going on. Is there any communications or anything there? Tammy, anything under communications, anybody?
Did you
The
have-
only thing we have under is state update, that
The what?
the Congressman Pete
Yeah.
Stauber. Yep.
Underneath update of the state.
Mhm.
Okay, the update of the state, that is in your packet. And is there anything, wishes that the council would like to do on that?
Wasn't it a pretty tight timeline, wasn't it? I thought.
Yeah, it's due by the 28th of this month.
Yeah.
That's why, when I seen it, I got sent the email, I don't know if any of you guys got it, but I got it on email.
Mhm.
And then I forwarded, did you get it too, Tammy?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
That, everything was copied in the back.
Because I thought that would be an ideal one to work with the townships on the airport road. You know, I don't know if we put something together that quick.
I think Phil and I had a discussion, we just thought it would be for the Highway 23 corridor project
Yeah,
and any of the expenses that the city may incur in that project.
okay.
So you can fill out the spreadsheet and just don't put a cost in there because we don't know yet what our cost will be.
What way?
Well, we can do it on the airport road too.
Yeah,
You could.
and I thought we'd have a lot more pull if it was a town and 2 townships asking for money, you know, congressional money.
Okay.
Or we could put it as a whole, you know? What is the wish of the council? To have the staff, Tammy and Phil put something together? And at least get it off? You know.
That's certainly a project that would be nice to get done, and it's ready. I mean, if the money was there, it could be done early this summer.
Well, no, it can't, the money's dedicated in 2023, I think, isn't
Oh,
it?
is it?
Yeah, fiscal year 23.
But he has to have it in on his bills. In other words,
Oh, okay.
what it is port path at the
Because the Highway 23 project, that's still, what, 4 or 5?
that's 26 away, possibly even longer,
Yeah,
from what I hear.
so if possible, yeah. I mean, maybe if,
I can also contact Malacca Township, when they did the local road improvement grant that they didn't get. I can see what their costs were in that, and they can get those to me.
Yeah, they might have some of the work already done for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we did put money toward that, right in that grant last year, the
Yep.
city did.
$1,200.
So I think that would be,
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt. If-
is that the desire of the council? I don't think you need a motion, just a
that'd
verbal,
be a good project to get done.
at least send it to him.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get out of ourselves that it's gonna get funded, but,
No.
but it's worth sending in.
I agree, so. Okay, and then the other thing on the state, and, I don't know if you guys been watching it, but the way it looks, because I've been online looking at it, it looks like we will have a new state senator next year and a new state congressman because of redistricting. Because, Matthews will be moving down, I think. We become a new district, I think we become Can B, don't we?
Yeah, they change.
Yeah, we become Can B, so Matthews won't be our state senator next year. And he'll be running against, I think, Kipmeyer. And Kipmeyer has decided not to run. And Erickson, where it can be, she will be moving down to 27 unless she moves for residency. So we're gonna have a lame duck, no real senators that, or House representatives that are in our area. So we're gonna have to really watch that when we're trying to do stuff from that point. Okay, anything from, the county? You hearing anything? I haven't heard anything. And the townships, the only thing on that is Tammy and the staff working with them on what we just discussed. Ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2204, donations to the Veterans Memorial. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
I'll second.
Any questions on it? Any of that from council members? Pete votes yes. Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 2204, reestablishing unchanged precincts and establishing polling places.
Is that 05? 2205?
Is that an unchanged or is that a change, should be?
There's no change to our map of our precinct.
Of our precinct? Okay. Okay. Do we have to include, means there's a different number in there?
No.
Rather than 715, we now can be, okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Councilman, discussion? Norris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
And Pete, yes. Okay, moving on to resolution 2206. Is a resolution supporting the housing and local decision-making authority. This is one that Pam and I looked over and discovered today. It came out from the league in their bulletin yesterday. That's why I didn't get put in your packet. And there is a whole thing here, right here is the literature on it also. It's the same thing, but with the ordinance on the back. And they recommended in it that we make it to our
Representatives.
no, make it to our city. In other words, not just rubber stamp it, to have Tammy and Damian look it over. Is one of the recommendations in it. I don't know how they put it, but I don't know if you wanna look at it or. Because it has to do with upcoming legislation is what it has to do with. Is there any desire to even go ahead with the resolution from the council because it came up so quick, or? And I don't know, did you see any deadline, Tammy?
I didn't find one on any of the documents.
I didn't either in all the literature from the league.
So what is the need? I mean, I understand the upcoming legislation, but legislation for what? Like, what's it pertaining to?
That is what's in here, Corey.
Half of mine's cut off.
Yeah,
I
mine
only-
too.
I
What?
can't read. Yeah, like, I don't have all the information on my
The
copy.
paragraph,
On
the
your
edge of the,
copy?
yeah, the edge of the
Yeah,
first paragraph there is,
Oh, I'm
on
sorry.
all the pages. So,
Oh,
it-
all the pages.
yeah, so what does it pertain?
My printer, it's my printer, I must have it set on more than 18 or 100%. It has to do with the policies that are coming up that you can read on the front of the first page. I haven't looked into, it just came out yesterday.
So this is something that we could table and get more information about and make a decision later on, or?
Or give Tammy and Damian the right to take and look it over and get it sent in. Because the legislation's in session right now.
It appears to me it's just a resolution opposing any restrictions by the state on our zoning ordinances and housing ordinances that it would, this would be in support of local control.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things, which I would certainly support. I mean, we can make better decisions for Malacca than St. Paul can. So I would be very comfortable supporting it.
and this is language from the league?
Yeah, this is all from the league. Because I think on page 3, that's where this copy came off.
Mm-hmm.
If the council's okay passing this resolution and having Tammy and tweak it with Damian, This-
I don't think we need to change
You don't?
anything now.
Okay.
If it's templated from the league, I think it's pretty standard what they're trying to advocate.
I don't know if they want you to put in there Malacca, because there's some place it said,
It is,
Yeah.
like right on the
oh,
bottom
you
there.
already did.
Yeah,
Yep,
Okay, if that's all you guys feel like that's needed, then I'll entertain a motion to do it, pass it.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Lindsay, how do you vote?
Aye.
Corey,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Pete, yes, Norris?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Motion carries. Reports of department, city manager.
I just wanna, it's not in here, but I've been working with Hayden Holtman, who's on the planning commission, and he needs an internship, so I've invited him to come here this summer. He can start May 16, it'll be an unpaid internship, and he has to do 140 hours of planning and zoning. So we can set him up here for that amount of time, and, because I think we're gonna have a busy summer, the way it's looking. So that'll be nice to let him learn how, in a city setting, how planning and zoning will play out.
That's great. He's a local kid,
Mhm.
really good kid.
Okay. And that's the whole on that?
Yep, and then,
Because we have other things.
I'll have Gary kind of talk about what the park commission's recommendations are,
Is that down later or is that now?
right now,
Okay.
and then.
So that's under city manager report instead of the parks. Okay,
So we want to talk, okay,
Yeah,
well, so my understanding, this position would be, a part-time seasonal position to start with. We're gonna take one of the seasonal public works employees and move those hours to the rec park primarily. I reached out to the park commission and got some feedback on, I don't know, just different duties for that position and what the hours could be and the days of the week and their responsibilities. I guess do you guys have the list of responsibilities and stuff?
yeah, they do.
yeah,
This one?
Okay, yeah, I think it'd be general cleaning up the park, picking up trash, emptying garbage, cleaning the Gracky building, between rentals, you know, if it's in between when the DAC is there. And then the park commission recommended, which I think was a good idea, to just include Trimble Park in with some of that, like the cleaning of the bathrooms, picking up garbage, and like maintaining flower beds and stuff. There's plenty to do just a block up the hill. The biggest, I guess you can read the rest of the duties, but some of the challenges, I guess, for this position would be finding the right person for the right price. I think we'll have to adjust the budgeted amount. At seasonal, they're budgeted at $12 an hour, and with the hours that this position would most likely be working, I think it'd have to be adjusted to find the right person for that. My recommendation and some feedback from the park commission was started at $15 an hour and see if we get any applications and what they're like. And then finding, yeah, it'll be figuring out what season we want them to work. I mean, obviously the summer season, but most of my seasonals start beginning of June and then they're gone mid-August, so it's not that long that I get them if you get, you know, the younger kids, but,
And then you might want to add too that you and Mary are gonna be at the job fair at the school.
yeah, there's a job fair at the school. We're highlighting different jobs in the city. I guess I'm gonna focus on the water and wastewater, and then also have a listing for summer workers and this position as well. Hopefully we can get a little more. Last year I kind of had to beg for people to apply at some point, so get some more applications this year.
Is this position in addition to the 3 that you had in the budget?
No, this is just taking one of them and putting them in the park.
Okay. And so it's not a position it's only seasonal.
Yeah, this is.
So in the winter, it wouldn't be doing anything down there or nothing?
Well, you'd still have the,
We have
the warming house
help.
attendant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering if that could be worked into that person. And is that the $1,200 then? That is on the next page?
That would be if we increase the wage.
Oh, I didn't see that, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that'd be for increasing the wage. I think it'd be hard to, I don't know, if you use them as a warming house attendant in the winter, then you're almost getting to where you'd have like a full-time spot. I don't know that there's full-time.
But would that 1,200 be in addition to the budget?
You mean 12,000?
12,000.
12,000.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It'd be a longer season. You said normally your seasonal workers are,
Yeah.
what, 2 months?
Yeah, 2.5 months, so.
Yeah.
but that would work up to 12,000
So this is,
This would be end of May
At 15.
and longer.
on and above the 3rd. That's why I asked if it's a added position.
No,
But you
it's-
said it's just a $3 difference
It's a
between.
And extending their hours a little
Okay.
bit.
Yeah, because this was the council's recommendation, right? They didn't
Yes.
approve that position in the budget, but you would like to take one of those seasonal people and put them down there and.
how does that work for your seasonal help? I mean, is it?
I don't know, I felt like last year was good and we had the right amount of people. I finally had 3 seasonals instead of 2, and now I'm losing one, so I'm a little bummed about that, but, at the same time, they'll take some of that workload off down in that park, so.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
I
we
would think
see how it
there'd be
goes.
sort of a trade-off there between,
Yeah. But it'll be finding that, the person that'll be willing to work you're not, I don't know, it's gonna be hard. No one's gonna wanna work every weekend, especially if you get that younger crowd at the job fair. I don't know, there are those hours too, because you wanna have them down there when the park is most active and busy, and that's gonna be afternoons into evenings. So I think it's gonna be a tough position to,
Could you work out a schedule with the 3?
yeah, and rotate them. That was,
Because I think that you
Yeah, one of
had
the
that
comments
someplace, rotate those 3. Because I seen a comment from you on that, something.
then I have to get 3 really good, responsible summer workers, because
And then you're not gonna be able to
they're not
extend
gonna
that
be
year.
supervised for the majority of their shift.
Right,
I'm not gonna be here, so you have to,
And then would you pay all 3 of them $15 an hour?
right.
yeah, so they're,
Or only when they do that, yeah. Well, you work it out.
yeah, your idea here of possibly splitting it into two positions, and so they'd be every other weekend.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that would be more doable for most people, and then,
Yeah,
Yeah,
there could be that person that's retired and looking to stay busy and wants to work, some hours, and if you split it up, maybe it'd be more, I don't know, appealing to,
yeah, it might open up the pool a little bit. Yeah.
but then it would be the funding.
Then you-
Yeah. From which budget? Any recommendation?
That's
I would
the
say
other issue.
Park budget.
Huh?
Would it have to be the park budget?
So we'd have to increase it from where though?
You'd have to add 12,000 into wages,
Yeah.
under parks.
But from where?
Is part of the,
It'd be under the general fund.
is part of the duties renting out kayaks and tubes, and wouldn't there be
Yes.
some income generated from rental of equipment?
Yes.
Okay.
So first we'd have to purchase it,
Mhm.
depending on what we want down there. Start out with the kayaks and inner tubes and maybe a few bikes.
Mm-hmm.
So I've included those costs in here to see where we're going with those. I think that's something the park commission can kind of take a look at their next meeting too, and see exactly what equipment you want to purchase. Talking about the iPad to take in the payments for that.
At one point, wasn't it thought that we would going to try to support like an independent business to come in
We
and
talked
do
about
something like
that.
that?
Yes, yeah.
Would we be discouraging somebody from doing that if the city was the one that was renting out equipment and taking over that?
Yeah.
Is there still anybody that's interested? I know at the time there was a canoe or kayak person that was asking at a council meeting about, and you guys gave them the go-ahead, and they said they could drive down there to pick up their boats, but I think they ended up going to Princeton, but I think that'd be the ideal solution here, have somebody else do it. And
Right.
try to make a profit on it, because there's all kinds of stuff that goes along with that. I mean, we do tubes, then you gotta get a van, and or you have a summer kid busing people up the road to drop them in the river, and
Yep.
And I
payments
can,
with
I can
credit cards.
really, really visualize some of those kayaks or tubes going down to
Yeah.
Princeton.
Yeah, yeah. We don't need to fund their summer program.
Yeah.
For this year, we just keep it to the stuff that we have down there anyways, we got.
Yeah. But I think, Corey, to your point, I think we do need to still look at that avenue, even if we started, it might even help if we started something and someone saw that, okay, I could do this, they got this much going, I got better ideas, I could, I think that still needs to be our goal.
Yeah.
Because even if we don't have a private person, we're still gonna generate some funds to offset future expenses.
And yeah, maybe that kind of a arrangement with rentals, the word gets out and spreads, it might generate enough interest that, a private business could make
Mhm.
a go of it.
Well, there's been a couple people in the past that has showed interest when you first brought it up, Dave.
Yep, but it's kinda like a brewery,
Yeah.
everybody has interest. but You gotta do it.
Well, the one I'm thinking of offhand, and, no, I shouldn't mention it.
No, I talked to one person more from his point of view of not him doing it, but his business background and
Yeah.
knowledge
Yeah.
and for that, kind of his
And
expertise
he
to
must
help.
have talked to the same
Yep.
one,
Yep,
but I don't think that should be made public
no,
as of now.
If the city rents out, let's just say kayaks and tubes, what does that do to the liability for the city?
I think that's the other
They'd have
issue.
to fill out a form, and there would have an indemnification clause within that form, signing a waiver of release to the city of any accidents or injuries.
Do those work, Damien?
Well, and they do, but in Princeton, we have the outfit that does it, and then they're responsible for maintaining their own insurance, and they indemnify the city through that insurance policy. If the city's gonna do it, then yeah, each individual person, we generate a liability waiver, and they basically say, have at it, can't sue us, doesn't matter what happens. And yeah, they're enforceable, but if you guys wanted to, like, try and track down the contact info for the place that contracts in Princeton, and they want to expand that.
Mm-hmm.
Do they do
Yep.
more than kayak?
I
think it's kayaks.
I don't know if they do, I don't think they do,
They do canoes and kayaks.
yeah, they don't do tubes. They don't do tubes.
They don't do two.
And then what they do is, I believe, they have basically a person there to maintain it. I think they have a specific, I don't know if they have one or they have multiple pickup spots. But they do that, they have like, this is the location where you hop in, this is the, we maintain the stuff, and then the rest of them down there to pick them up and bring the stuff back. So it works out pretty simple.
Okay.
So then, like with this summer help person, would they, if we got bikes and kayaks and canoes, who's maintaining the bikes when they're taken out on the trails? I know I bike pretty regularly and I'm constantly fixing on my bike. So I mean, what kind of person could we get into that position that would be responsible enough to take care of thousands of dollars worth of equipment?
I don't have an answer at all.
Okay.
No, that's one of the things I write down under the challenges of this
Yep.
position, added to the big list, because
Okay,
I just have no clue.
all right.
That's a specialized sport, and the people that work on it at the bike shops, I mean, that's what they do, so that'd be a big challenge with renting on mountain bikes. Like kayak and a canoe, no problem, either works or it doesn't.
Are we more interested, Gary, in getting like things, basketballs, horseshoes, and that, and just having that person, you know, offer them when they're there,
That,
and not
That's what I
high
have.
price stuff?
yeah, that's what I have in there for this year. I said basketballs, pickleball, yeah, I didn't even put that, but pickleball equipment's cheap. Well, it can be, and, horseshoes and then, yeah, the bean bags. I just put that in there and, you know, items like that, I don't know, I thought we already have like the bean bags. As long as you took their information or if the attendant was down there while they're renting out, imagine you could just rent that stuff for free.
And, yeah, I was gonna say, would you
And then you
have to
just-
rent it out?
You know, build that interest and that, see how that position starts fitting in and what their roles are and then add to it, you know, as we're able, I guess, and as the interest is there.
And maybe we find that business that wants to blow it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Any other questions on, from?
I'm just still back on how we're gonna pay for it, that's
Huh?
all. I'm just still back on how we're gonna pay for it.
Yeah. Where does that come from?
We have it in the general budget to use?
It would have to be a budget adjustment.
It would have to come out of
General
A
fund.
general fund, under parks.
Under park, so Gary would have to give up something else.
Well, not necessarily if you do a budget adjustment, that you're adding this to the budget.
From the general fund.
From the general fund.
Additional
Yeah,
expense.
Oh,
Come out
because you
of-
said from the parks, that's why I was wondering.
Well, in
Well,
the
just
general
kind of-
fund, you have all these
You have to
different.
deal, yeah, mark. where it's
So
coming
you're
from.
taking something away from parks to put to this?
No,
No,
Do we even have a position that we need to fund right now? I mean, do we have a job, a printable, publishable job description for this job that we're?
no, but my concern was I don't wanna go that far until we know that there's money to even talk about it. I was just concerned about the financial end of it. And if we can, then I think, yeah, we need to look at the next step.
Okay, any other discussion on that, or
What we're gonna do,
are you comfortable, Dave, with the answer you got on the 12,000?
yeah, I mean, we're a lot more clear than we were a month ago, which is really good.
yeah, there's a lot to think about, you know.
When is Gary, is that job fair in March?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the date. Okay,
Early March.
that's kind of a nice chance to
Yeah.
get the word out.
Okay. So, on the rest of your report, Gary, are we doing anything with the iPad and the software program, or is that, what is that? Or is that down later?
Well, if we're gonna be doing just the free stuff this year, we won't need an iPad down there because we wouldn't be renting out anything this year. And if we get a company that we can look into, that would clear up that whole issue.
Okay.
So, basically, what we need is a body down there. And that's what we can try to work through the summer position this year and see how it goes, because that was another plan to see how it's all gonna work out. So, I think,
Is that something that could be brought about, and I know I've been on this for years, on Friends of the Park?
well, we tried that, but nobody really wants to volunteer.
Well, I know, but we haven't really pushed since the day of got time.
Well, that's what Mary's gonna do at the, school job fair, also the volunteer portion.
Okay, okay.
I mean,
Maybe we,
that 12,000, that's for $15, that's the full price, not just the additional $3 an hour.
oh,
So
Yeah, that's,
it's not we don't need to do a $12,000 budget adjustment. It's gonna
okay,
be
see,
Oh.
that's what I,
that.
Yeah, that covers 5 months of full-time hours.
If you did that, then I get to
Okay.
keep all my 3.
Okay,
So what was budgeted per,
oh, so that would be significantly less
So
number
that'd
then.
be almost half of it, or
Yeah,
6,000 or 7,000.
This would be
Yeah.
a separate person from his three, if you went this route.
no,
no,
it's one of the three, but it's just the extended hours, but you would take the hours that were already budgeted and subtract that.
Yeah.
see,
Yeah,
that wasn't
makes
my
sense.
understanding, was that your state?
No, but that makes sense, that clears it up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I guess that was my understanding of where we were coming from, because it didn't get approved in the 2022 budget. We were trying to keep things tight or whatever, and that's fine, but now we still wanted to try it, so I kind of thought that's the route we were thinking.
Yep,
So what would be the cost typically for your summer help? Is you
We
said
budget,
2.5 months?
well, we budget out of the parks 1,800 per seasonal, but then there's some out of public works as well.
works, yeah, which I don't remember that off the top of my head.
But there were three budgeted in the
So
22,
it'd just be adding $3 an hour to one position.
plus the late,
plus a little longer time.
Yeah.
Yep,
so
okay.
if they were at 12, you only add in a fourth of that, plus the time.
Yeah, so maybe 6,000 or less, I don't know.
Well, your pay on those people that work 40 hours a week for 8 weeks, it would be $38.40 per person.
Yeah, so it's 18 out of the parks and there's 18 out of
Yeah.
public works per
So
season.
3,600 a piece roughly, is what you pay them.
So yeah, about an additional 8,000 then.
Well,
Yeah, so it's less, that's good.
why don't we bring that back at the March meeting? Council okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to keep tweaking this thing
Yeah.
as it goes,
And
so.
we'll tweak it as it goes and see what the job fair is. Is the job fair before the March meeting, or, yeah?
I think so,
It
yeah.
is, okay, good. Council okay with that part of it, then?
And that would give us time to get that information that Damien, or the gentleman in Princeton that
Yeah,
stays there.
yeah,
stuff.
yep.
You're gonna have to send me a reminder email to them
Okay.
the second I walk out.
Kind of like $20.
No,
No.
that was in 2 months.
That's encouraging that, you know, get, at least for getting some progress and.
Yeah.
it looks
See,
like-
that was my
Yep.
point that I had made,
Um,
12,000, but if it's only a fourth of that plus the extended time, that ain't that bad.
And who knows with the applicants we get this year, maybe we can't get that extended time, but we can still have them down there the bulk of the summer,
Mhm.
so.
Mhm.
Okay, and therefore, we can tweak anything else on that report, right?
Yeah, on
As
the,
far as the iPads and that, at this time, that can be tabled to the March 2, correct, Tammy?
Yeah, we're really not taking action on it,
Okay.
just
Okay.
get more information.
Okay. And then underneath the report is, are you done there then, on that?
No,
oh, Mark had
oh,
some.
yeah, you got the.
No, I was gonna call on Mark,
Oh, okay, yeah.
okay, gotcha.
but Gary's done, and so now it's Mark.
Do you want me to talk about Mark, or do you want Mark to talk about Mark?
Talk about me all the time,
Well, I'll talk about Mark first, but, so we're getting into that, time of year where Mark gets real antsy and starts planning a bunch of events, and he's good at doing that, and that's, where his mind is and what his passion is. And if you talk to him for 10 minutes, he's got a whole list of events that he's got in his head that he'd like to do that all sound like good, fun events for the city, and I brought that up to Tammy just, you know, we've talked about that events position since I started, and it's never, there hasn't been the right person for that position. It was another one of those ones that was hard to fill and hard to fit, and I don't know, I recommended to Tammy that we just split Mark and have him do 50-50 on events and public works, and I don't know, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah,
Because I know you guys had even talked about Mark before, and we didn't know how it would work out, but he's spending, I mean, when we start doing events like this, he spends a good amount of time working on them anyways, so. there wouldn't be any budget changes or anything like that. I think you just, I don't know, move some labels around on there and.
And it wouldn't be, and I told Gary, I said it's not a 50-50 constantly. I'm made up that, you know, if it takes 10 hours to do activities or plan things, the rest of my time is public works. I mean, I'm not the kind of lollygag and collect dust, so keep myself busy, but it is something I think that's a need, that we need more of, that it's a different variety to attract people.
I think that would be a good fit too, where you're full-time already, and then because the event planning and coordinating is gonna be, you're gonna need a lot of time for a short period of time, and then it's back to public
exactly.
works.
So we wouldn't be sitting around during a season, you know, without things to do. If you're not planning something, there's always something on public works to do.
So, my question to this, how does that relate to Mary's position of events coordinator?
That's very position.
That's not her position, that was Ashley's. That was Ashley's, the event coordinator, yeah. So how Mary will interact with all of this is she's gonna do the promoting, the marketing, and getting it out there on Facebook and all of that.
So they'd be
Kind of working together.
Yeah.
So she can do the stuff that
Yeah,
kind of help Gary,
yeah,
or I should say Mark.
Mark.
I think it'd be nice because there's some, budgeted event items that last year I was working with Mark on them, and he, it's ultimately his event, and I'm just the middleman in between. And it'd be nice to have him, I don't know if at least is labeled that, and we can take that and run with it.
Well, he does a great job, so it's kind of silly to not take advantage of his skills. I mean, he's really good at it.
He's talked to Bram and Little Falls and the people that, coordinate the bigger events in those cities, and he's got, I think, coming up in here, more stuff already in the works, so I think it'd be good.
Now, if you could talk about the lumberjack too, Mark.
Oh, yeah, that was just one of the, with like the 125th year anniversary and stuff, and my event like last year was a wood-related event for the kids, and I want to continue that. Keep it wood-related. Now it just ties in with 125 years of the history of Malacca, with the logging camps and stuff like that, so we've, Tammy, I guess, had just thought about it too, and I've been thinking of this idea of bringing in like this logging show. To tie in good with an event. It's an interactive show. They do the tree climbing, log cutting, log rolling. They allow the kids to also do log rolling and sawing with a hand saw and stuff like that. And I think it would be a good interactive thing to have here for the kids. Granted, there's a cost involved, but I'm pretty driven as far as cost, trying to offset costs with donations and things like that, but I think it's just a good thing. It's similar to what Stillwater does with their event, city event and stuff there. But
Yeah, they come in for a weekend, and then they do 3 shows Saturday and 3 shows Sunday, and then it's free for everybody to watch, and the kids get to participate afterwards. And this goes along with one of the things Mark brought up at the park commission was we brought all the equipment up to the shop now, but there was that logging sleigh in front of the museum, and it's in the back of the museum and rotted away. And we're cleaning up all the hardware for that, and Mark's gonna be putting together a cost list, I guess, just to rebuild it, put it on a concrete pad under a little shelter down by the river with, a description of what used to be there, and so that's.
They used to sit out in front of the museum and have a stamped log on it that they found in the river at one time. Then,
yeah, I mean, it's
probably the only one that's been here that long is Dolores, right? You remember that out in front. They had found a stamp. There were 3 or 4 of them on there that were on a sleigh in front of the museum.
there are logs available, and I was still trying to push to find somebody to even do it myself, make a stamp to match the Malacca Lumber Company that was once here, just it'd be nice just to stamp logs.
But none of this will take you away from, or overtime into,
No.
okay, so this is all part of your regular 40 hours a week.
I think it's a good start into the events, instead of having a full-time event person, you know, as we did in the past, this is
Okay,
a mix.
okay.
And you have Mary as a resource, so if it's, you know, you need something that needs to be done and it snows for 3 days straight and you guys are in the trucks, she can be doing whatever.
I think it's a good fit there. Mark is the go door to door looking for donations and talk to people guy, and Mary's tech savvy with
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff online.
Okay.
Another 125th idea would be the art show and to work with the Art Coalition. And we have a meeting set up, coming up with Mimi to kind of talk about that.
Good.
It'd be a free show. And it'd be kind of fun to have a craft show with it as well.
Any other comments from the council?
Do we want to discuss the going ahead with the lumberjack? Should we go ahead and,
What?
Pursue it or,
yeah, to get them on the schedule for a summer event?
can we,
There's donation money for events in Rec Park.
okay, because I was gonna say, I think that needs to be a sponsor.
There was so much put,
Yeah, otherwise it's got to be sponsored
yeah,
by the businesses.
That's what he's gonna work towards, but to get on the schedule, you have
Yeah,
to,
they have such a tight schedule, and right now it's tentative the 27th and 28th of August is the plan for the event. And their schedule is so tight, and I mentioned to Tammy yesterday, maybe if we're gonna try and proceed, because I have to get them either booked.
on that donation part of it though, I don't know what it's gonna cost, but on the donation part of it, there is money from the donation, from the money in Rec Park for events if they were not doing musicals, because that was set aside. So much money each year for events in Rec Park.
So that could be the
Base,
base, and then
Yeah.
hopefully we can get sponsors to
yeah,
cover it.
yeah.
Okay,
I think it'd be.
We had one of those shows about quite a few years ago here in town. Dolores, were you around for that too?
Wood carving and.
Yeah, we had wood carving, we had log rolling and that. That was probably 20, 25 years ago.
At the 100-year,
Huh?
at the 100-year anniversary?
No, it wasn't 50 years ago.
no,
No, that was 25 years.
25 years ago.
Yeah, it could have been.
I don't know, I don't remember it, so,
Huh?
I don't remember.
I remember, we had,
I remember the wood carving.
yeah, and they had log rolling on the river.
So what do you need from us then?
We need a motion to go ahead and get this lumberjack.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait, I can't do that.
Oh, that's right.
We're at, Norris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Corey,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Pete, yes. Okay, that's done. Scheduling,
Yep, I'm gonna have Mary come up and do the scheduling. She's gonna give a quick demo of the scheduling software.
just a minute. How, when are you folks on the agenda? You know, they don't have to say.
That's under airport.
I and J.
You want to jump there?
Can we,
Yeah, you know what, we should do that rather than,
Don't wanna be here
I'm
all
sorry,
day.
I'm sitting here and they're listening to all this gab. I'm gonna
Move them up.
move them up to the discretion and in
Okay.
the future, I hope I should have caught that, I'm sorry. Because I don't want you to sit here all night and listen to us trying to solve the world's problems. So I'm gonna skip down and down to the, airport and go from there. So you guys can introduce yourself and we'll move to the airport, which is a few pages back. Okay, you're on.
Okay. My name is Ron Ruffalo, and I'm a Fulton and Mink. I was with me in 8th grade. He's the engineer who did the design on the taxiway, did the construction administration on the taxiway, also done the design on the 22 project, which is now for the different side of it. We're gonna do the very same thing as what we did with the taxiway. We're gonna do a mill and we're going to grind up the bituminous, mix it up with the aggregate underneath, put down some cement treated on the base, and then use that as our anchor. So we're going to do the recycle, the existing bituminous, and then pave over the top of it. The incentive effectively is what the project is, and then just more striping and that too. So we now have the plans and specs done. We have a copy here that will stay at City Hall. You have a copy of the plans and
Yep. And when do you hope for those to go out for bid?
Tonight's, what's on the agenda is a copy of the advertising for bid.
Okay.
And we're looking for you to approve the advertising so that we can start advertising on request as early as tomorrow.
So that's what you need from us tonight.
Correct. And for funding, just so you know, it's a state funded project at 95%.
Yeah, and we have that all in the budget already.
I'll make that motion to approve that, going out for bids.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on approving and going out for bid? Is there any discussion on the project before we approve it?
Is this the last phase of the airport?
This is the second of 3 phases.
Second of 3.
Next phase will go down into the taxi lanes in a month.
And this isn't all in the 10-year plan or whatever we have?
Correct. Yeah.
But we're doing this one before we even approve the payment of last year's, I know, right? We haven't made the final payment on last year's yet.
Correct, we had a little delay on the contractor's final documents.
Okay.
A little back and forth on that one, and then some drought this summer, as well as the seeding delayed us a little bit.
Okay, because I noticed that.
Yes.
And construction would begin with?
As soon as we receive a state grant.
Okay.
And then probably later this summer.
Any other discussion from the council? Lindsay, how do you vote?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Nora?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Do you need that signed tonight and take it with us? Because if you got a copy, we can sign it now and, or?
No signature needed on the plans and specifications. I will grab a signature on the final pay application, which is
The
the
next
next item, and there's no other questions on the plans and spec.
So we can sign it tonight, and that way you don't have to come back and,
On the estimate, yes.
on the,
Final estimate, but for the plan is back before the after bid, we don't need any signatures.
so all we did was, so now you wanna approve the plans and specs, we just approved going out for bids.
Right.
Okay, because I don't see that on the agenda. Oh, I see, okay.
Should be one of the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the plans and specs for the 2022 project.
So move.
I'll second.
Any discussion on plans and specs? No. Corey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, then let's just move on and approve the thing, and then you can sneak up here and get what you need signed, right? Tammy, are we okay with that?
Yeah. That'll work.
Damien, you okay with that?
I'm thrilled with it.
Well, I don't wanna get into legal problems.
Perfect, but you can move things around in the agenda as well.
Huh? Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion, to approve the final payment of the 2021 taxiway project to New Look Contracting for $20,261.70, coming out of that budget item, out of the airport.
I'll make the
Because that
motion.
has to be part of the motion,
I'll make
that
the
it
motion.
comes out of that fund.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Dave, how do you vote?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Motion carries. Well, let's do the signatures, and we could have had you out of here at half an hour ago.
No problem.
Sorry, but I didn't notice that.
No, we're always interested in hearing what's going on, what's going on in the community.
Well, you never know.
You never know, that's right.
Interested in the job in the parks by chance?
I got my daughter coming back from college, so she needs a job, so
Well,
I'll have her apply.
There you go.
Just grab your signature.
what do you need? You gonna fill in the titles and all that?
Sure.
I'm just saying. And Dave?
Yep.
You will, okay.
That's all we need. Ready?
You don't need one for,
Just this,
scratch just that one.
just this one,
Okay.
yeah. Right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Now, we have a copy of that in here, Tammy, that I don't have to sign then? Well, we'll look at that later. Okay, now, sneaking back up to, you can stick around as long as you want, you know. Serve coffee later, maybe.
Thank you very much.
Scheduling
Thank you.
software, Mary, you're on.
One of the things we wanted to do with scheduling, because it is so popular, is make it easier for everyone who wants to rent anything at Rec Park or any of the parks, see what's available right away without having to call and then, check, remake their plans because something wasn't available. This is the view that they would see. What it does is it lists everything available, has a little description. You can search by the date you want. For example, we will go on March 18th. Search and, oh look, the Liebeck-Ice Center is available. So you put in the number of guests who are planning on attending. Right now there are, 347 is what it has capacity for, so that's the number that this will go up to. And you click reserve. It'll bring up your reservation summary, the day. We currently would be taking payments online through Square. So the fees would include the surcharges from Square, so we would not be eating that cost. And then just everything else that would be found on our current reservations, name, email, phone numbers. The cool thing about this is that it has all the rental, like the rental agreement, cancellation policy, everything like that right here. In order to reserve it, they have to click that button, and they have to input their payment information. So should there be any damages to anything, we have their information on file. They, $150 is what we're currently up, the deposit for the Grecky Center. That wouldn't pay for a table, So this way, it's clear in the reservation agreement that any damages will be assessed to their credit card online. Another cool thing is, like I mentioned, you have a specific date for your event, and all you want to find out is what's available. So you can look on here and, looks like I'm not going to do anything on the 19th because the Grecky Center is already booked. Oh, and I see it's $150 a day. But during the week, it's $75. So it's a nice thing. And then once you click the day you want, the same screen comes up for all of your information. If you're not quite sure what you want, you just click on the description of any shelter, and it'll give you information like this one, for example, has electricity, a serving counter, and 2 handicap parking spots. So it shows you all the information that you would need to make your own reservation. The other nice thing about this is for Public Works. Right now, Gary gets a printout, and actually, I would set up the police with a login as well so they can see who is doing what. Right now, Gary and, I should change this. Gary and the police department, they get a printout and then they have to file it, then they have to remember to go look at it, then they have to, check the times and everything. With login, they can just go to this screen and it will show, what?
What the dates?
Thank you. It'll show what's being rented and for how many people, and then they can just click into the reservation, and if they have a question about anyone, they have the phone number there, they can call the person directly. This way they can check and see what they have, who's checking out, when they have to go down to the park and check to make sure everything is good. It's just a really cool thing that I think it would solve a lot of headaches for people trying to plan their events. And I do believe that it would get the word out a lot better about all the amenities available in our parks for people to use. So that's pretty much it.
How much of a surcharge do they have for using their payment system?
Oh, it's, let's see, one would be, it's like, well.
It was like $5 and some cents when you added it up.
Yeah, $5.40 for $150.
And it's a percentage of like 3% or something?
It's
kind of.
a percentage plus like a 30-cent fee.
Okay.
And that's just standard for Square to do. It's actually, when you get to the amounts, it's cheaper than what we're charging on Municipal, basically, for some of the items. So it's, a comparable thing that people are used to paying. And everyone who does anything online anymore, they're used to the surcharges, it's just a convenience fee, so. But that's just really basic rundown. The cost is $52 a month, and it is the cheapest one I could find. I can tweak the wording in each of the screens, however we want it. So, and I'm working right now on all the agreement stuff to make sure that we're not liable for anything, and to make sure that every guest is aware that their credit card would be charged for any damages incurred. So, any questions?
Is this only for the Grecky Center?
No, this is for everything. We've got,
Any event?
well,
Is this what you were talking about at the Rec Fest committee the other night?
80?
No, I'm just
I
asking.
talked about a lot of stuff. No, yeah, this is for all the parks, all the shelters at the parks. We've got the campsites on here. We have the council room. So it's and this is.
That would be way easier as, I mean, like, I rented, what was it, this fall, I rented the Grecky Center. And then you don't have to call and ask, is this available, or what about this, or can I go to that park, or, that would be really nice. Or this room, I mean, I email Dolores all the time, can I get in there at this time? That would be nice.
How about the camping? That could be on there too?
The camping is on there.
Okay.
Yep. Gary and I are working on a system. We're thinking a QR code that would bring you to this page. So if you come down there, there's an open space, you can double check, make sure it's not booked. You know, and we'll have the signs up, and on here, it's noon to noon. You no more than 3 nights like usual, and yeah.
Now, the only thing is that there's gonna be somebody available for a computer, a literate person like me, that don't know how to master a computer, and a person that does not have a computer.
You can still come into City Hall and make your reservations as normal.
Or you can call and do that.
Yep,
Okay.
it's all gonna.
Just so there's help for those people that don't have a computer, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have
Yep,
computer.
yep. And I did check it on my phone, and it is, you know, and you can do it from your cell phone as well.
Oh, good, that was my other question. Good.
Oh, the other thing was, just because of the campsites, I can put a limit on it. Reservations have to be made at least 2 days in advance, you know, or you have to call. Like, you can't book the campsite this morning and then show up and somebody's already there because it was open, you know, before they had booked it.
Oh, I see that.
So, because there still will be that first come, first serve,
But it has to be 2 days out.
yes. If they're making a reservation online, it's gotta be 2 days out and paid for before it's considered reserved.
And that's on the Grecky Center.
That'll be on everything.
Could we not just to help get ahead of that potential issue, put some signage out there if they are drive-ins, they're just showing up to contact right away?
Yep, that'll be
Website,
part of it.
City Hall.
Yep,
Yeah, so there'll be a sign that they can call here, but that's what you're saying with the QR code there. We can just pull their phone up and it'll tell them what sites are available right there.
But then once they get there, they should call in.
Not if they use the QR code, they wouldn't need to, but
Okay.
if you don't want to do that, then you can just call.
and the nice thing is that this is month to month. If it's not working for the campsites and we wanna switch it back to first come, first served, we can do that. You know, this just, and we can tweak other things as we go along. How it's set up initially doesn't mean it has to be that way for the duration.
Well, the biggest complaint I get from campers that are down is that they can't plan ahead of time when it's first come, first served.
So this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would solve
That's a big
Yeah.
complaint I get from campers I've talked down there.
And like I said, they do have to pay in order for it to be reserved, so that would keep people from being like, oh, I might show up and then not, you know?
Just to be more clear, wouldn't we almost want to have something down there that requires them to get on here? Because, for example, say I show up here at 6 PM, there's no one in the office to record that I'm down there, and then another family down in Minneapolis wants to come up north for the weekend, and they reserve it online.
Well,
So I
that's
show
the,
up and-
that's the 2-day thing. Like, if they decide that morning they wanna come up and go camping in Rec Park, they can, but they can't do it online. They have to take their chances just like anyone else. And that's also
Right, but
the,
that person taking their chance, say they show up at 6 PM,
and they take spot number 1, and they don't do anything to check into that spot. You know, another family because within their 3 days, they could still be there with that 2-day rule. Another family at the same time goes online, rents spot number 1.
Oh, I see what you're
Show up,
saying.
and someone could already be
Okay.
there for a spot that they paid for, and the others could potentially be full too. So
That's
just
a-
if we put something down there to require people who are showing up to make contact as immediately as possible.
Yep.
we can report that.
That makes sense. That's a
If-
good
if-
point. Thank you.
If somebody shows up and they can scan the code and check in, they could see if it would show on the calendar if it is reserved.
Yes.
So they would know, I mean, they wouldn't know any other information, but it would show what sites were reserved.
If you
And
get a
that's
text in.
also
Yeah,
why we're doing the noon to noon time slot. Like, if you don't show up by noon, there might be a chance you're gonna lose your spot, you know.
Oh,
You know,
because a lot of people aren't gonna show up by noon because they show up after work.
uh,
yeah.
That,
again, this is just an overview, like, we don't have the rules. in
Because
place.
right now, does it, yeah, you can work that out.
Yeah.
Because right now, if I showed up if I reserved it, how is it marked down there? Right now, you mark them, Gary, don't you? That they're reserved?
We haven't had
Yeah.
any reserves.
So
It's all
far.
been first come, first served, and people,
Well, then it must be only
There's
during
been,
Rec Fest
yeah,
that we mark them.
There's
reserved.
been just, I can count them on one hand where somebody's asked and then I do it because normally there's 2 campers down there at the most and hopefully it'll get busier and I think if we've learned with those campsites the last couple of years and we'll just add this system, it'll.
Mary's job to work out those problems.
Yeah, because a lot of people that would reserve it and would pay for the site, they might not show up till
Yeah.
8 o'clock in the evening or something.
Yeah.
and again, this is just language we have to figure out.
Sure, yeah.
To not offend anyone, but to also make it clear that,
Yeah.
you know, don't deprive anyone else of their fun, you know? So,
Mary, is there anything on there for like primitive campings? I know we have a lot of tent people that come down and don't necessarily camp at the campsites. They come in and pop up tents in the park and I just.
I
Not
don't
that I
know
might get
anything
every
about
penny I
that.
could, but
The only problem with that, Mark, is we're only allowed 4 down in that park. And if a tent sets up and is not one of those 4, don't set up, they set up out behind someplace, they're considered camping in that park, and we're only allowed 4 in that park at a time, no matter if it's a tent or what.
oh, so it's not, is it 4 with water and electrical?
No, it's
just
4.
campers, okay.
Unless it's a special event.
Huh?
Unless there's a.
Unless it's a special event, and we're allowed 2 of those a year, without it becoming a campground.
We're just gonna have events all the time, aren't we?
Yeah. Our 125th event goes from May to September.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so the actual cost on this is only, what?
$52 a month.
Council wishes.
I think it looks like it could really solve a lot of problems and make some people's jobs a whole lot easier.
I would like it as a user, a consumer.
Oh, yeah.
I would much
Yeah.
rather go online and do that.
So many things now, scheduling appointments or whatever, it's all done online. And you can just go right on the website and see what times and days are open and fill them in and it's just so user-friendly and
Yeah.
I would think for the office people too, the front desk there, that would make things, it would really eliminate a lot of your involvement in this.
So where's that $624 come out of?
General fund.
we've got, I mean, this, I would guess this would increase the rentals, which will have revenue.
Yeah,
coming in.
revenue for it, but expense, because it'd be another park fund, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Wouldn't take very many rentals in a year to cover that cost of that software.
Well, that was built into the revenue projection too, in the
Yeah.
budget. So.
Yeah.
So what action do you need, Tammy,
Motion for approval.
to approve going with it? I'll entertain the motion.
So move.
I'll second.
Any further questions? Comments? Pete votes yes. Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now I gotta get back. Myself here. We're now on police activity, correct?
So I believe you guys have my activity report. January was, in regards to the total numbers, a little bit lower than what we've been tracking in previous months, but that's pretty usual for cold months, people aren't out and about. So we don't see as many calls for service. I also provided, this was a 2022 CIP, the replacement of our squad computers. Tammy, do we need to take action on it, or is it more so informational?
No, this has to be, you have two quotes.
So I have two quotes for squad computers. Just so you understand, these are just the computers themselves. There is going to be an additional expense of roughly $3,300 with our squad outfitter. That will include the docks for the computers, the mounts for two of the squads, one of the squads. Two of the squads already have adequate mounts for the docks, and then his labor in installing all that. The two quotes that you have for the computers themselves, one from SHI, the other is from Baycom. The recommendation would be to go with Baycom. They're the cheaper of the two options by about $100, but also Sam with Baycom, who Ed, our IT, had gotten a quote from, is very responsive, so if we had any issues, I know that he would do right by us to help us out,
So what did you say would be added to this?
Roughly 3,300.
3,300?
Yeah, and that's still within
The budget?
budgeted for the CIP.
Of the CIP?
Yep.
Okay.
And I know, I think I may have mentioned, obviously it's, the CIP was already passing the budget, but just to further justify the need for this, I mentioned that I had suspicion that our computers we've been running had belonged to St. Cloud at one point. I actually, through this process, had removed one of the computers from the docks and saw the St. Cloud Police Department sticker on the back of that, so that means we've been running computers that St. Cloud years ago decided they got their value out of, and that's what we've been currently using. So the guys are very excited about this. Computers are slowing down, and it's definitely a necessity.
Now, this is a computer in
the squad car.
In all the squad cars?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And are we gonna have on those computers the same problem with the cameras?
Yeah, that problem has nothing to do with
Okay, with the type of computer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve. Is it from
Which one?
Boyk? What's the one you
Baycom.
recommended? Baycom.
There you go. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And Norris seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Beat you to it.
Any further discussion on that? where did I start last time? Myself, didn't I? Norris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Cory?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Motion carries. Anything else, please?
Just quick update on, I know I talked about looking into the city or the police department taking over the, providing the passport service to the community. We're saying we're still interested in it. Unfortunately, the contact with the federal agency who makes those decisions doesn't seem as motivated in moving it along as we are. So what we heard from him, it could be into midsummer by the time they can work out the details and decide if we're a fit location for doing this passport service.
Okay. Thank you. Now back to parks. The request for, no, I have standing. Wait. There's standing in here before the request. Is that right? A payment, street improvement project?
You gotta go back.
Huh?
the page.
No? Okay, I got this here. Is that what we're on?
Yep.
Okay, because I got those in this order. Okay. Very good, so,
So we are on board.
yeah, we're on parks.
So this was talked about at the Park Commission last month, beginning of this month. It's something we talked about, or looked into a little bit last year, and, so they make outdoor TVs that are same as you'd have in your house, except they'll work in -20 degrees outside in the snow. They have them at ski resorts on top of the mountains showing the different runs and stuff. And the idea would be putting it down in Rec Park. I think I have a picture on there, like a type of display that we put it in. And then it would be controllable from City Hall or wherever on Mary and Dolores are good at keeping active, updated posts on the one at Central. This one you could have, it'd be the same, similar thing, but more detailed. I think you could get, park rules, guidelines, hours, the community events coming up. You could have the different trail maps. You could have drone footage of the trails on that TV, and if, you're down there at the splash pad, or your kids are at the splash pad, you walk over and check out what else Malacca and the park has to offer. The Park Commission was strongly in favor of this. I added so it's an outdoor TV, but everyone I've talked to on them says that they work well as an outdoor TV, but vandalism's always a thing you gotta think of too, so that's why I put this TV shield in there. So it's a heated cabinet with I don't remember the thickness, but a protective thick layer of poly on there to prevent damage. It's a lockable case. I think it'd be probably a worthwhile investment if you're gonna do something like that. But the totals for the project would be about $5,800. And that would come from the 216 if you guys are interested.
Council members, any comment?
Mine would just be that is our status of Fund 216.
That's one thing that, last council meeting, we talked about the budget setting down with Jessica till we figure out what we have as far as, because we wanted to save so much in those accounts so that 10 years from now or 5 years from now, when we're replacing all that equipment,
We just moved over all that money from the Veterans Memorial too.
What?
We just moved over that chunk from the Veterans Memorial 2 months ago also.
Yeah.
So,
You
But
have-
so what's in 216? I guess that's the question.
It's over 200,000 in there.
There is?
There's what?
There's probably right around 200,000, if not more. I don't have the exact number.
Yeah.
And is there much outstanding? Like
No.
archery's done, all that?
There's no outstanding bills coming out of there. There's one more item, I guess I thought it was gonna come out of the parks, but in the budget that was approved, it does say 216 exodus for that parking lot coming up down in Rec Park.
Yeah, see,
It's only 30,000.
Yeah.
I would still like to see what we have that's allocated, because I know there's so much allocated to activities, so much allocated to, also to, improvements, and also we have unallocated money, and that's where I think we have to sit down and
Wasn't, no, some like, what was allocated for events, that's in a separate fund now, isn't it? Because it was designated, and then I think for that maintenance, I think that might be, or is that?
No.
If I recall, that was coming out of 217.
Yeah, there's 217 is for maintenance and improvement.
Yeah.
Yep. And those
But
transfers are for 217.
217 is direct park.
Right, but that's already designated for maintenance and,
Yeah, but I.
But is there, so that one has plenty of money in it for maintenance and whatever?
Take care of all those events.
I don't mean events, is there, we've talked about this, whether it's 80,000, 100,000, 120,000 needs to be set aside for these expenses 8, 7, 6 years down the road. Can it be, is it somewhere, is question one. And then can it be legally put like out of there and put in like a bond or something for 5 years? I mean, it needs to be where it's not touched, I guess is my point. I mean, I know we keep saying it's there, but where? Is it 17 or 16 or, and if it isn't 17, is it designated specifically for maintenance, future maintenance? Could that be a line item?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Future maintenance, 100,000, that's out of the picture. It's not buying anything we want, no matter what happens in the park. Does that make sense?
And that's what I've been trying to get set down with, you know.
In the past, I think in 2017, if I remember right, we set aside 150,000, but of that was allocated in some of, was it 48,000?
I got all those notes
And then
in her wishes and from there.
we had set aside 75,000
Yeah.
Okay, for,
for future maintenance.
okay.
But till
So
we.
those are line item pulled out?
Yeah,
It's not part of that lump sum?
They're sitting in that fund.
Okay, so when you say there's 200,000 in that one, does that include that money, is what I'm saying?
Yes, it includes
Okay.
that money.
Well,
That's why we have to sit
that's-
down, Dave.
216,
216.
yeah, but 217 is separate then.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so the 200,000 in 216 does not include
No,
what's
they're
in
two
217?
separate funds, they're completely separate. The one Tammy's referring to is for the maintenance, whatnot. 216 is 216, and that's got $200,000 in it probably.
There's not much that isn't unallocated in 217. 217 specifically for rec park. That's pretty well all allocated.
Yep.
The 216.
But is
There's
some
no
of that
maintenance in
allocation
that
for
part.
maintenance?
Not in 217. 217 was allocated for the warming house, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, the warming house and activities. And there was one other line item, and I'd have to look through all my notes. But that was absolutely allocated for, I know what other things are. The warming house, the ski trails so much per year, and rec fest so much per year. And
Movies in the park.
so, and then activities at the parks so much per year. And then that got pulled out from 217 to a new one, which we have to discuss, and we talked about at one time.
Is there a way a council could get like some type of documentation that has all of these
This?
designations put into
And
one
that's what I've
spot?
been
So,
asking for.
so we know, so we're all on the same page with this.
That was just in the budget, I mean, I was looking at
All
that in
those
the budget.
transfers
In the budget.
Yeah.
come from 217.
Because I can sit down with Tammy and Jessica, because I got all those written down.
How about we bring David on that, cause,
Who?
I mean, we could, just so everybody's on the same page, it'd be nice to,
Bring who on?
cause we bring this, well, I don't know, not anybody from the council, just cause we do this
That's
once a
fine.
year, we do this, and it's like,
Yeah,
this is designated.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Nice to-
We can have another,
I mean, if the park commission feels strongly about something, I like to support their decision. I just want to make sure we don't ever dip into that reserve for future expenses. That's my only concern.
so let's set up a meeting of Dave, myself, Jessica, you, Gary, and Tammy.
Especially an expenditure like this TV, which is a great idea, but I could see within not too many years having to replace it, either because somebody destroyed it or the weather
I think you
destroyed
could
it
go
or
with
something.
that.
Yeah.
I can see this as a high maintenance item.
And then the other thing is we have 2 billboards down there, you know? I mean, 2 kiosks, you know, that our stuff is at. And, you know, those, once we get that activities person going, that can be kept up, you know? And to the same extent, when I've been down there talking to mountain bike riders and I've had pamphlets in my car, and they said, oh, we just pull it up on our phone.
Yeah, most do. Most people
Huh?
that hike it and stuff do.
People are pulling it up on their phone rather than have a TV down
Well, I
there.
think that goes
Well-
along, I think that is an argument for the TV.
Exactly.
You just talk out of the bulletin board, no one's gonna go look at the boring faded map or, you know, words in the bulletin board when you can watch a drone footage flying through the trails and be like, that looks sweet out there, I wanna go try it.
Yeah, it's a
That's
good
the
selling
purpose of
point.
that. It's a
Yeah.
huge selling point for different features in the city.
Well, let's have that group of 5 of us put together a meeting and get it taken care of and then just table this for now until Dave's
Yeah, I think
questions are
that'd be
answered.
good to just really get the breakdown, the current breakdown, because it's
And then,
changing.
and then once we do that, have a document that kind of explains that, so everybody has that
Yeah.
information. Or understands, I should say. We have it, but,
Okay,
Clarification.
yeah.
okay,
Would it benefit the council too to have like some type of plan on how we want to spend money in the future from these funds? You know, kind of like we have a 5-year plan for roads or different things, but like, I don't know, just so.
We
it-
did
like-
initially,
Mm-hmm,
you know, at our list in the years we did them in.
yeah.
I could envision too, if we had this TV down there, that we could sell some ad time for local businesses that could offset some of the costs of it too.
Pay for that scheduling software.
Yeah, there we go. Because I would think there'd be local businesses that would love to,
Yeah.
you know, it'd be a little cost to produce, but to have, you know, a 1 or 2 minute ad come in, you know, just highlighting some local businesses, I think there's a lot of potential there.
just on what we have down there, you know, is it usable or not? That's my question. You know, because we have the bulletin board by the band shell. And like Gary says, that stuff's faded, I agree, you know? Because we could change those more often. We have the bulletin board up here, you know? And I didn't see anything but, concerning Rec Fest. I mean, not Rec Fest, concerning snow days on anything, you know, and they had the snow, trails, how did that go this weekend?
It's tomorrow night.
No, I thought it was the 18th.
No, it's tomorrow night. Everything's this week. Medallion was
How
this
come I see
week.
something on the 18th on mine?
I don't know.
Okay.
Medallion was yesterday.
They're out grooming right now.
Huh?
They're out grooming the trails right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, anyway, okay. So we'll take care of that. Anything else, Gary? On parks?
The other one was for that parking lot, there's, I assume you should have a picture of that, you know, parking lot down there by the Greg building. Talked about it at the park commission, talked about it a couple of years ago, I guess, too. That was,
Sorry, Gary, that can interrupt you, because this was also in the council packet, or inside.
yeah, I'm just gonna pass on that one and, pay for it out of the parks miscellaneous. It's pretty minor and
Okay.
we'll just hold off on the 216 then.
Okay.
Kind of give that to them. But, yeah, so that parking lot, we didn't know if we'd have room for 2 rows of parking in there. I talked with Phil today and he actually sent me some plans. When the first portion of the newer Recce Center was built, somebody was working with Phil and Phil drew up some plans for this parking lot right there and he wants to connect it with the sidewalk going up, the street, and he's got a whole bunch of ideas for it, so there might be some changes to this, but it's just kind of what the thought is right now. I don't know, if there, Damien, maybe you can tell us, but is there a way you could get like a conditional vote on this? 'Cause I'm starting to get, estimates in on it, and the sooner I guess it wouldn't be a big deal if we wait till the March meeting, but it's in the CIP for this one, and I'd like to get it going.
How much is in the CIP for?
30,000. The estimates are coming back at 35, so it is more than,
Because one of the comments that was made, I remember well, is sidewalk.
this includes widening the
I know.
sidewalks.
Do you really need that sidewalk going that way? Because Dave had a better suggestion that we needed a better path back to the pickleball when it's wet, you know?
Yeah, that wouldn't even have to be cement though. That could just be,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there needs to be some more thought put into that, because if you can, do a berm from one direction, but,
it's kind of right in the middle of the rink.
yeah, you have to come at it from the side.
And then we could look at those berms as far as the water, so, I don't know.
But I guess I'll just bring this back in March and,
Be nice to have done though,
yeah,
that parking lot.
Yeah.
that's kind of what it's hopefully gonna look like.
But now that was out of the general fund, that was.
That was my thought initially, but when it was approved in the budget, under the line item, it says 216 right there, so it's not in the parks budget. It's
Okay, so then
216, so that's why.
And that was
we'll do
in
this
there.
Meeting and see where we're at.
So that's coming out of 216 rather than 217. Okay. So that's a good thing to know, so.
So why do we have to wait?
Because it's coming out of 216 and you guys didn't want to spend anything out of 216 until we had a meeting.
But that was previously approved into 216.
It was, so, I mean, yeah.
Up to that
We
amount.
didn't have to bring it to the council. I mean, if it's under 30,000, I guess it's in the budget.
Right.
But it's coming in at 35, I don't know.
But if you eliminated the sidewalk, it'd come in cheaper.
Which one? There's a couple of them there.
The one going in front of the parking lot. The one that stands alone doesn't connect to the building, actually. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there could be some changes in it. I guess, I don't even need approval if it's in the budget. We can just say that I'll continue working with Phil on the design of this and I'll keep the park commission in the loop
And keep it under 30,000.
And if it can't, then come back in March.
Yep.
That works.
I think That's it for parks.
Okay? Wasn't there something on the redoing? Oh, that's under Public Works, okay. You still have the alley project 2022. That you haven't discussed?
Yeah, you wanna do that before the street construction project, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Huh?
You can do D first, or you?
yeah, we're skipping D. Are we?
I don't. Awarding bids for the street project, I'm sorry.
You have that in front of you with Stantec?
Yeah. So, what is, well, let's, I'll entertain a motion so we can discuss it.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. And then this is for the awarding of the 2022 street reconstruction project. And you have the floor, and what is your recommendations and Phil's recommendation?
Knife River.
Knife River?
Yeah, they were the lowest, the prices came in way under Bill's estimate, so.
Good.
And is that under Phil's estimate and under what we have budgeted?
Yes.
And this is all going to a bond anyway, correct?
Yes.
So it doesn't affect the general fund. Any comments from the council? Members? So whoever made the motion, would you include in it to award it to as a amendment, or
Yeah, awarding it to Knife River.
award it to the Knife River? So include that into the motion, and that's okay with the person that seconded it?
Yep.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Oh, wait. Norris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Okay, the alley project.
Doing a lot of talking here tonight.
See, the Grecky parking was, pavement was down there too. See, that's why I got forced up.
So I've been talking with Phil about this over a couple of years. There's a handful of, well, ideally all of them would be paved. Our ordinance states that new driveways have to be paved. They can't have class 5 and to prevent, that from washing into the street. And alleys are separate, obviously, but there's a handful of them I think that would make sense to pave. These are the alleys that have manholes in them, and a couple of them have catch basins. It's like storm sewer catch basins with grates on them, so there's actively sand and gravel falling in those pipes, which isn't good. Or in the wintertime, when you have a sewer backup, and then that manhole has to be buried in that alley 1.5 feet, so when you grade it, you don't rip it off when it's class 5, so then you have to use a pickaxe or a jackhammer to bust that ground up to open that manhole. So these ones are, that's why I included the highlighted ones in the list for the map. It would take away the seal coating this year. The seal coating this year was gonna be Hidden Pines in the junction and Boulder Ridge, but with the Hidden Pines, having a street project, there's only really a couple blocks of seal coating that would be done, and for the mobilization and to have them come, I think Phil and I thought it would make more sense to add it to next year's or the year after seal coat route and take advantage of the.
Adding what to?
Take the few blocks of seal coating that is due to be done this year and put it on next year's seal coat route versus having a really small seal coat project this year. And
So what was in the budget for that?
$100,000 is what we're budgeting every year for seal coating, and this year, part of that route was Hidden Pines, and now we're doing the street project in Hidden Pines. It's a 5-year rotation, and so it just doesn't make sense to do both of them. So,
So, but if Hidden Pines was in the budget as a reconstruction,
so it's not gonna get seal coated because it's doing
It's being
reconstruction.
so we should have moved something up that budget.
Well, we are, we're moving seal coat, we're moving alleys
Seal
out.
coat is like a, that's, we run a 5-year rotation with that, and
Mhm.
that's what we're keeping it at, and that's, we have the city split into fifths, so that that number is fairly accurate every year. This year just lines up that portion of town that's due to get seal coated is the same portion that's getting reclaimed, so. I think we
So-
should utilize that money that's there in other street projects.
Or do we move up the next street project for seal coating?
No, then it
because we're
throws
on our
off the
fifth
whole
year of a
plan.
5-year plan, so I wouldn't do it again already.
I would think, yeah, paving the alleys
I get a lot of,
would be just a
Yeah,
really
there's a lot of-
good move. And it would cut way down on maintenance.
there's a lot of citizen, requests for alley pavements. It's the
Yeah.
highest request I get from anybody is that.
Tammy, did you get one the other day? A person called me, and I told him to call you about an alley, a problem in an alley. Did they call you?
Yes.
The one behind, the old Army?
Is that,
She lives on Second.
yeah,
That's one of them I got here to get paved.
The one on the west of Second?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it
There's
was.
a half a block there that's not paved, and it doesn't make any sense to me that it's not paved. So I added that in. And then the other one is the hill going up right by the shake shop there, that every time it rains, that washes all out into Second Street.
By the what?
The nutrition shop there, or
Oh, okay. So the old Ford garage?
Yeah.
Because that map was hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
So that,
colored copy,
huh?
colored with highlighted.
I'm trying to figure out where this one
Make
is.
that as good as I can.
Just a little print, that's all.
A little print.
I didn't print it.
So do you need a motion for this?
Yeah, just to change that line item name to alleys, I guess, instead of seal coating.
Okay, I'd make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Lindsay, how do you vote?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes? Norris?
Aye. How wide of a,
12 feet.
12 feet?
Because that one, the gal, I don't know what she told Tammy, was complaining that even Jim's truck got stuck there the other day, and that the armory's pushing the snow off, and she can't back out of her garage, and I drove through there. And then, she lives on the second house up,
I think I know the house.
huh?
Yeah, I know the house.
Well, what's the matter, Mark?
No, I know hers very well.
Well, I'm just saying, she called
Concerned
me,
citizen shows.
and I don't know how many times I said, you called Tammy about it and explained it to me, and she kept going on to other subjects, and I think she was talking to me for a half an hour. Okay. Okay, liquor store.
I'll give you a quick update.
What?
I was out there this afternoon. The beer cave came.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, it's sitting on the concrete right now.
So we each got a case?
We put most of it together yesterday.
Isn't that what you said?
Wow.
Nope, it's sitting on the concrete. So, what's gonna happen is that wall will get torn out. It'll probably be a little extra expense for that wall that's gonna come out. It went into the windows, which we didn't think it would, but it does. So Vicki will come back next month and she'll have some more information on the cost of that. So, talked with Ted today, in regards on a building permit and what would have to happen. And he's gonna go out there and take a look on Friday.
Fire department, Jesse.
I got a few things today.
Is this
Our,
anything that needs approval, Jesse?
well, not really, because I'll purchase it out of my reserve fund otherwise.
Okay.
Um,
But in the future, if you need something approved on the agenda, would
yeah, no,
you
I
give
just
it
got
to
this
me?
yesterday, so,
Okay,
but
okay.
all it is we're, our rescue truck, the one we got from Rogers, I don't know, probably 7-8 years ago now. The lights are terrible on the emergency lights, because they're old incandescent, and at that time Greg didn't want us to spend any more money to buy new lights, so the guys approved that we would buy new lights and have them installed, and we can pay for that out of our reserve fund. Cause the other day we almost got rear-ended again, like during the day, cause they're just not very bright.
What
No,
number
that's-
truck is that, Jesse?
What?
What number
It's rescue one,
rescue one? Okay.
so the guys approved that, and Terry Bolches at RWB Emergency Lighting in Forston is gonna do it, I got a price. And, so like I said, if, doesn't matter, we can put it through the budget, I actually probably will have money this year for it, or I can just pay for it out of reserve. So the next few years, we're gonna spend a bunch of money, cause this 24, my CIP, I plan to get a new Ranger with a slide-in rescue and grass rig unit, so I just kinda wanna get that on the radar now. And then actually in 2024, we're supposed to take possession of a new engine according to the CIP plan, and I think it'd probably be a good move, cause our backup engine now is a 1993. And that I'm gonna say is probably gonna be around the $800,000 mark. Cause, I got a price on a rescue truck, cause we went for a grant last year for that. That's why I didn't do these lights last year, cause we applied for a grant, we didn't get drawn, and this year was not trucks in their grant cycle, so I didn't even apply. And a rescue truck that doesn't do anything but haul people and carry a generator was $650,000 now. So I'm figuring an engine's gonna be around that 800 number. So just getting that out there for everybody to know. And just wanna let everybody know our golf tournament will be the second, Saturday in July, which will be July 9th. Otherwise, I don't really have anything else today.
What was the price of the new lights, Jesse? Did you have a cost on that?
$65.96.84.
Say that again?
$65.96.84.
So does he need
That's
a,
installation and everything.
do you need a motion to spend that out of reserve
Yeah,
from the council?
yes,
Huh?
yes. So we have that in a minute.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? Corey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes? Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Motion carries. Anything else, Jesse?
Not right now.
Okay. Planning and zoning. Revision to zone breweries and delivery distilleries. Huh?
Yeah, the discussion there was, came up about the ordinance now, our zoning ordinance for the industrial park does not include the the brewery, distillery, and winery, which at the time that was written, it just wasn't the thing. But and then this question arose about a tap room or what was it, a brew pub as a possibility there. But in just looking at the ordinance, the planning commission recommended that we would add brewery, distillery, and winery to the zoning for the industrial park, because it would certainly fit. But as far as the brew pub, they thought we'd just wait on that, because the location they're looking at could be easily rezoned to B1 or B2, I can't remember, but so we could make that determination. Then we'd have the choice of either rezoning it or allowing it in the industrial park, which I think the rezoning would probably be the easiest and best way to go on that. So I guess, I don't know, there's no action at this point, but if we wanted to change that zoning at sometime in the future.
We'll probably have a public hearing at the March meeting.
We have to.
Yeah. And then, yes, a few other items that came up. Is that lot split? Is that?
That was added to the agenda, so that'll.
And
Yeah.
that is,
For
Yeah, we talked
the old
about-
hospital property.
yeah. Does that really have to be a lot split and a minor?
Yes.
Is he planning on selling it, or is he planning on building something additional on it?
Well, in discussions that I've had with him, he's thinking either elderly housing, but not assisted living.
Yeah,
So, but he doesn't know if he wants to do a duplex or one building. He doesn't have a plan for that yet.
but if he does it, why does that have to be a lot split? Why can't it be on the
Because if
same?
he wants to sell the, clinic, that gives him that option to do that.
The what?
If he wants to sell the clinic,
Yes,
he'd have to split the lot.
So he's just keeping his options open.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Because if he was gonna keep them all, he wouldn't need a lot split at this time, would he?
Yeah, he still would. Yeah.
If the old clinic would put on an addition,
Because what happens, it's zoned healthcare right now. So if he has to split this lot first, then he can come back and rezone this to residential because it butts up to residential. So that he can get more housing, and we need more housing, so that's a good thing. And then he could sell the clinic to somebody else down the road.
is that what he's thinking of, or what?
That's what I think he's intending to do with his lot split.
Okay. Well, whatever works for him, but I was just thinking if he's keeping both,
Yeah.
why?
And the survey is, Phil
Yeah,
and
I
I
did get a
and Phil
copy of the
Mural,
survey.
yeah, we've all been working on this survey with them and did a few changes. So I'll get a final survey so that we can do the certificate of exemption and get it recorded.
Now, does this have to do a lot split in the subdivision, they gotta go back to the planning committee, does it not?
Nope, not under zoning rules. Zoning rules on the minor lot splits, on a minor subdivision.
Okay,
It is up to the council
okay.
if it's 3 or fewer lots,
If it's what?
3 or less.
Okay.
Just so I'm reading this, right, so the parcel B is,
Huh?
if you're looking at the clinic from the street, it's the lot behind it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to the north.
And
I
then,
noticed too,
is there's-
he's showing access coming off of 10th Street rather than Second Avenue.
Picture of what he's planning on doing?
Well, just the layout of the lot is right
It's
there.
on your desktop there.
so this could be somebody
We should have
potentially
this on
build, there's
The
nothing there now.
Stantec logo in color.
And they can't-
I got
I
the
didn't
one.
think so, but
You don't have it?
Here, I looked at it, I know it's on.
It's off then just over.
Oh, it's on
tall
Stantec.
grass,
Yep.
kind of behind.
No, I
it's
don't,
outwards, right?
I don't have that on my desk, so I see.
You should.
By the church.
Nope,
Yeah,
okay.
so it'd be north of the clinic and then be kind of behind, west of the church.
Do you want this back, please?
No.
So what do we have to do
You need
at this point?
a motion to approve the minor lot split?
I'll make the
Don't we
motion.
have to have public hearing or nothing?
No.
Okay.
I'll make the motion, Tammy.
Okay.
Second that.
Any further discussion? And then after the split, he'll come in with the plans. All we're doing is splitting the lot.
But we're not changing any of the zoning.
And then
Not yet.
that will have to come. Okay. For rezoning, we'll have to go to the planning commission
Yep,
and then.
depending on what his plan is, yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Corey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, and we did the airport committees, personnel budget, no meetings, tourism. Any report from tourism, do you have meetings?
We had a meeting. It was just reappointment.
Yeah, we did the election of the officers, we did the budget, and then, Mary showed us some more of her, tourism website. Yeah, we did that as well.
Okay. EDC?
We meet on, are we meeting? Yeah, we are meeting on Monday.
Monday.
Yep. Last month, we just went over the select therapy and some of those new developments coming to town.
Okay. Okay, and then no unfinished business. League of Minnesota City Municipal Tort Liability.
Same one that we have every year, that we do not waive the monetary limit for tort liability.
Okay.
Should we need a motion for that?
Yes.
It is-
I'll move for approval on that?
Is that in our,
I'll second it.
Yeah, it's just.
oh, there, just this one will be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Any discussion? Dave, how do you vote?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Motion carries. Peddler license, that's the same one we've had every year for the ice cream truck, the ding dong truck or beep beep truck or whatever they call them. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Pete votes yes. Norris?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Okay, moving on. The 125th anniversary mural quote. Has it been approved or no?
I have 2 quotes in here.
Yeah, no, but has the grant
I
been
haven't
approved?
heard anything on the grant yet.
And we have to approve it before the grant?
Yeah, because we need to get the artist working, whichever one we're gonna work with.
Okay, what if we don't get the grant, what happens?
Then you have to decide where the funds would come from.
Well, let's.
When are they gonna decide on the grant?
I should hear in another month. We should know by next month's meeting. You want to table it till then?
I'd rather table it till we know if we got a grant or not.
Okay.
I think this is one of those items that, if there is no grant, I don't see it happening unless we,
Right.
sponsors or
I agree.
donations, but,
Yeah.
I mean, they could, it could all sign across the bottom
Hey,
if they
Mark,
donate a certain amount.
Another project?
Something.
deadline, and this is coming from the lakes?
The East Central.
East Central?
Arts.
Because they came out with more deadlines today for April, March,
Okay.
for more grants. I just seen that online today. So,
But when you look at the two
I'll entertain,
artists,
huh?
when you look at the two artists, which ones would you prefer if we look at their art?
I don't like it.
Oh, don't you?
They,
Huh?
wasn't one panel and one straight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was if you, it's optional if you want it on
You can
panels.
go with the panels with the Lili, liner,
Otherwise, you can do it without panels.
or you can just paint it on the building.
Is there a price difference that I'm not
A
seeing?
little
Or
bit.
About 500, well, I don't know what the price difference is, because it's all lumped together.
Is it one with panels for 9,000 and the one without 8,000?
Oh.
Yeah.
Is any of those that we've seen over, any of these do the one in Foley that you and I looked at, Tammy?
I think that's this gray. I've got the name from,
I'm just wondering which one was the one, because I like that. And maybe it's not the painting I like, but it's the subject, you know what I mean?
yeah, so we can table it.
Yeah, they're really, they're,
So I'll
Neat, they're
entertain a
cool,
motion to table it,
So,
a second.
and there's no discussion on table, so. Norris, how do you vote?
aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete? Yes. Special event, the First National Bank celebrating the 125th year music event in the rec park. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Discussion on it?
Looked to me like they're planning to set up a stage in the parking lot,
mm-hmm,
so they won't be using the band shell.
right.
Or not.
They said it wasn't big enough.
Yeah, it wouldn't be, and it could burn down, because they have like fireworks and all kinds of
Oh,
stuff,
okay,
yeah.
we don't want that.
Yeah.
But that stage,
They keep them away from that.
is that for sure where they're setting the stage?
That's where they want it. They
Really?
came up and viewed the park and,
Huh?
yeah, they came up and viewed the park and that's where they wanted to set their stage.
Well, it gives them a lot of hard surface for people,
Yeah.
plus a lot of room to, you're gonna need a lot of overflow space.
Then the only thing with that is where will individuals park on the first page? They said in the park. How are they gonna park in the park when they have that closed? They have that street closed coming down.
No, they wouldn't be parking in the park.
Huh?
They wanted to close that street off.
But they did write on there, where will individuals park in park,
On the first page.
on street, school lots. Maybe they mean this closed
Oh.
street, or,
Yeah,
I suppose
it's probably
whatever
just
they
an
can fill up the
oversight.
park with on
Yeah,
the
but they got
parking
the
lot.
road closed.
Maybe it's closed for parking.
yeah, that's like what we do for the mega meet.
Yeah,
We
met with
close
Brett.
36
He
for
was
parking.
talking about a way to get the people in so that they didn't have to be in traffic,
Yeah.
so that they could walk in on Second and on Third. Third?
Well, on Third, they have no parking, but they don't have it closed.
Yeah, no parking, they just wanted no parking so that.
People can
could
walk.
right?
So there won't be any parking in the park.
Probably very little.
And if it is, I think we should say it's for the handicap, but I don't know how many handicaps are gonna come
It'll
to.
probably just be like the people working,
The
bank
vendors,
personnel, people like
Okay.
that.
all of them.
Okay,
I'm a little worried for the contact person though. Last time there was a heavy metal concert down there, the contact person got reprimanded by City Hall, so.
they did.
I know, I was there. It was me.
And don't let it happen again.
And not only that, City Hall got reprimanded by the residents close because too many bad words were being used in the park.
That'll be a fun event.
So, did I get a motion to close? Yes, I got a motion.
Yes, you did.
And we discussed it. Any other discussion? Corey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Norris?
Aye.
And Lindsay?
Aye.
I couldn't remember if I started with that. Okay, so we did that. There's no miscellaneous. Any council comments?
Just a reminder of tomorrow night's events at Rec Park for snow days.
Yeah.
They've got all that ready to go.
So at this time, I'm gonna close the, general meeting, not adjourn, but close it. And we'll reopen it after the closed meeting. And, this portion of the properly noticed meeting of the Lennox City Council will be closed pursuant to Minnesota statute under the closed meeting exception to discuss confidential data pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13D.05 subdivision 2B and 13.43 subdivision 2.4. The need for confidentiality outweighs the purpose served by the open meeting law. In case based following confidentiality is necessary to protect the confidential data to be discussed. The purpose of the closed meeting is not to make a decision behind closed doors, but instead is to discuss confidential data pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13.04 subsection 2B and 13.43 subsection 2.4. The only business to be discussed in this portion of the meeting is the confidentiality data and what actions, if any, should be taken. I will now entertain a motion to close this portion of the meeting.
So,
I'll second.
And closed at,
I have
no,
8:43.
huh?
I have 8:43.
8:43, and the motion's been made, and how do you vote, Dave?
Aye.
Pete, yes. Norris?
aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
And Corey?
Aye.
We are